Body class. My name is Gaius Columba. I'll be taking you basic electronics. And our topic of today is semiconductor. So, class, anybody have an idea what is semiconductor is? Anybody?
Semiconductor is the material that can conduct electricity.
Anybody with an idea? Semiconductor. Yes?
The material that has both the properties of the conductor and
Thank you. A semiconductor can be defined as a material that has an electric conductivity intermediate with that of good insulators and that of pure conductors. And there are also materials that have an electric resistance of high resistance of insulators and low resistance of conductors. So I'll go straight to types of conductors, types of semiconductors. We have two types of semiconductors. We have the N-type semiconductors and we have the P-type semiconductor. The N-type semiconductor are produced by adding impurities to the semiconductors, such as adding impurities like arsenic, ammonic, adding such impurities to silicon, germanium, because those are the two types. Those are some of the types of semiconductors. We have germanium, we have silicon. So the N-type semiconductor is produced by adding an impurity to the semiconductors like germanium and silicon. When you add arsenic to germanium, you produce an N-type semiconductor. Then the P-type semiconductor is produced by adding a pure impurities such as indium and boron, such as those that have the 3 valence electrons. Then you produce an N-type semiconductors. And the effects of adding the impurities to an N-type semiconductor is by making the germanium crystal to be more to have a free electrons. That's the negative electrons. To have a negative charge on the germanium. And the effect of producing adding the impurities of like boron to germanium or silicon crystal is to make the electrons have poles or be positively charged. Then, any questions? Yes.
So I see that N-type
Yes.
semiconductor.
Yeah.
When the impurities are added. So what is the major element there, and why are the elements added called impurities?
The N-type The major elements there, they are foreign elements. When you add foreign elements, like assign, as I give you example, to determine, you have automatically make it an n-type. That's it have already gained a negatively charged electrons. You have changed from its state, from its crystal state, like its normal state to a negative charge. Understand? Any question? Then mode of conductivity. What's the mode of conductivity? The mode of conductivity the difference between a semiconductor and a conductor is their mode of conductivity. The mode of conductivity in conductors, like copper electrolysis, is positive and negative. It only have two carriers. It has two carriers of current. It have the positive and it have the negative. So that's the difference between. That's what makes it different from semiconductor. And that of the semiconductor is that it also have two carriers, but it is of two types. We have one as free electrons, and then the second one as holes. The free electrons are that of which we have a negative charge. It has a negative charge. And then this one, the holes have a positive charge on them. Any question? Yes.
How can free electrons and holes arise from a semiconductor?
Free electrons and holes can arise in a semiconductor. Like an example, like germanium and silicon crystal, they have 4 valence electrons in their outermost shell. This is the nucleus. This is shaded because it is a negative. It is a negative electrons. It carries negative charges. So, because there is no any force acted on it, so automatically it is static. The nucleus have not been liberated. Understand? So the electrons does not move. But when a thermal energy, this is static at 0 temperature. But when at a room temperature, that's when the thermal energy is applied to this nucleus now, it liberates. So when it liberates, the electrons now move. The electrons move. It loses its own electrons. So some of the electrons will move. And when the electrons move, this place will become empty. It becomes a hole now. So, and that makes it what? Make it a free electrons. And when this space, the space where these electrons move from this point to this point, this space now becomes empty. Because this loses, like I tell you, valence electrons. You have 4 valence electrons. When you move from here to here, this place now becomes a ball. It is become positively charged. When you move from here, it becomes negatively charged. And it becomes a free electrons. And this becomes a ball. Understand? Any question? So move to the PN junction diode. So who can tell me what is the PN junction diode? Anybody have an idea about PN junction diode?